How many islands make up Indonesia?
Indonesia is composed of over 13,500 islands. Of these, only 6,000 are inhabited. Indonesia is the world's largest archipelago and was formerly known as the Dutch East Indies. The area had been under the control of the Netherlands since around 1600, but declared its independence in 1945, after being subjected to Japanese rule during much of World War II.
Did people bathe in bath?
The Roman baths found in Bath, England, were originally built on a Celtic holy site over a period of 300 years, beginning in 70 C. The structures include a hot bath, a tepid or medium bath, and a frigid bath complex. Though the ancient city lies buried beneath it, the modern city of Bath is also renowned for its hot springs, which once warmed the Romans and now offer a relaxing bath in this resort town.
When did Burma become Myanmar?
In 1989, the name of Burma changed to Myanmar when the military took control of the country. Following the president's resignation as a result of riots and national turmoil.
How is rainfall measured?
Agencies like the National Weather Service use very accurate devices that measure rainfall to the nearest 1/100th of an inch. The devices, known as rain gauges or tipping bucket gauges, collect rainwater, usually at a point unaffected by local buildings or trees that may interfere with the rain.
What is the least densely populated country in the world?
Mongolia, not to be confused with Inner Mongolia, which is a province in northern China. With its tiny population of 2.6 million people spread over 600,000 square miles, 1,554,000 square kilometers of territory, has a population density of about 4 people per square mile.
What is evapotranspiration?
Evapotranspiration is the combination of water vapor being evaporated from the surface of the earth, such as from lakes, rivers, or puddles, into the atmosphere, and transpiration, which is the movement of water from plants to the air.
What is the most common last name in the world?
Zhang, or Chang, is the surname used by more than 100 million people.
What is the capital of Australia?
The capital of Australia is Canberra, which is located in a federal territory, similar to Washington, D.C., within the Australian state of New South Wales. When Australia was founded in 1901, both Sydney and Melbourne wanted to become the capital city. In 1908 it was ultimately decided that a brand new capital city would be built and located away from the coast. Canberra is the largest city in Australia that is not on the coastline, population 334,000.
Where is the farthest point from land?
In the middle of the southern Pacific Ocean lies a spot that is 1,600 miles. 2,574 kilometers, from any land. Located at 47 degrees 30 minutes south, 120 degrees west. This spot is equidistant from Antarctica, Australia, and Pitcairn Island.
How many places on Earth have evidence of asteroid impacts?
There are about 160 places on Earth that display evidence of asteroid impacts. Depending on the size of an asteroid, it can have significant effects on the planet. If an asteroid strikes the ocean, it can create huge destructive tsunamis or tidal waves. If an asteroid strikes land, it can create a huge crater, cause earthquakes, and propel debris into the atmosphere, creating major climatic changes.
What are the largest seas?
Parts of oceans that are surrounded by islands or otherwise partially enclosed are often known as seas. The 5 largest seas in order are, the South China Sea, the Caribbean Sea, the Mediterranean, the Bering Sea, and the Gulf of Mexico.
How is northern Canada gaining elevation?
During the Ice Ages, thick ice sheets covered northern Canada, including Hudson Bay, pushing the continent down by the sheer force of the extreme weight of the ice. Ever since the melting of the ice sheets at the end of the Ice Age, the ground has been rising a few inches each year.
How did the Inca civilization experiment with climate?
In the Urubamba Valley in Peru, in a city called More, is the remains of a great amphitheater-like terrace system. Archaeologists and scientists now believe that this was a great agricultural laboratory, where each area of the terrace exhibited completely different climates, allowing the Incas to experiment with different climates and growing techniques.
How does Hawaii protect itself from tsunamis?
There is a sophisticated global monitoring network that provides warnings about possible tsunamis, allowing the islands of Hawaii and other coastal areas to prepare for impending disaster. Hawaii also has a thorough evacuation system to protect lives in the face of tsunami danger.
What is nuclear winter?
A nuclear winter is what would follow a large-scale nuclear war. Radioactive particles, dust, and smoke released into the atmosphere would create a large cloud over the planet, blocking out sunlight and reducing temperatures worldwide. Plants and animals would die due to the extremely low temperatures. An extended nuclear winter could cause the death of millions of people from starvation, cold, and other problems.
Where does cocaine come from?
Cocaine is produced from the coca plant, which was originally domesticated by the Incas. Coca paste from the coca plant is refined to make cocaine. Illegal cartels and individuals in Colombia and other South American countries are major exporters of cocaine, especially to the United States.
What are the lowest points on each continent?
In Africa, the lowest point is Lake Assal in Djibouti, 512 feet, 156 meters, below sea level. In North America, California's Death Valley lies at 282 feet, 86 meters, below sea level. Argentina's Bahia Blanca is the lowest point in South America at 138 feet, 42 meters, below sea level. The Caspian Sea in Europe lies at 92 feet, 28 meters, below sea level. And Australia's lowest point is a mere 52 feet, 16 meters, below sea level at Lake Eyre.
Does lightning ever strike twice in the same place?
Lightning can and often does strike in the same place twice. Since lightning bolts head for the highest and most conductive point, that point often receives multiple strikes of lightning in the course of a storm, so stay away from something that has already been struck by lightning. Tall buildings, such as the Empire State Building, often receive numerous lightning strikes during a storm.
How does a sextant help navigators?
In 1730, the sextant was invented independently by two men, John Hadley and Thomas Godfrey. Using a telescope, two mirrors, the horizon, and the sun, or another celestial body. The sextant measures the angle between the horizon and the celestial body. With this measurement, navigators could determine their latitude while at sea.
When was the first automobile built?
Though it had only 3 wheels, the world's first gasoline-powered automobile was built by Carl Benz in 1885. Henry Ford built his in 1893.
Where is Indochina?
Indochina is the peninsula in Southeast Asia composed of Myanmar, Thailand, Cambodia, Laos, Vietnam, and the mainland portion of Malaysia. During the colonial era, the eastern portion of Indochina was ruled by France and the west was ruled by Britain.
What was the world's worst nuclear disaster?
In April 1986, the Chernobyl nuclear power plant in the Ukraine, near the border with Belarus, had a major accident that released radiation into the atmosphere. The protective covering of the nuclear reactor exploded and deadly radiation escaped, immediately killing at least 31 people. The radiation exposure that initially occurred is still killing people through related diseases. And this will continue for many years. More than 100,000 people were evacuated from the region. And deaths due to radiation poisoning continue as radioactive isotopes spread across Europe.
How did irdentism help start World War II?
Irdentism is a term used to describe a situation in which a minority group in one country shares the culture and heritage of another country. The minority group may attempt to have their region annexed into the mother country or may be happy in the country they are in. Adolf Hitler used irdentism as an excuse to invade and conquer Czechoslovakia. In 1938, he claimed that the Germans in the Sudetenland, a part of Czechoslovakia, were being treated unfairly and thus this area should be annexed to Germany. Though Germany's annexation of Czechoslovakia did not start World War II, it was the Nazis' first direct aggressive step toward conquering Europe.
How many countries named Congo are there?
There are two countries named Congo, and just to make things a little more confusing, they're neighbors. The similarity between the names of the two: the Democratic Republic of the Congo and its western neighbor. The Republic of the Congo makes distinguishing them a little difficult. In 1908 the Democratic Republic of the Congo was named Belgian Congo, in 1960 it was called Republic of the Congo. In 1964 it became People's Republic of the Congo, in 1966 it was called Democratic Republic of the Congo. In 1971 it was called Zaire, and finally, in 1997, again became the Democratic Republic of the Congo.
Why does a firstborn son get everything?
Primogeniture is the system of inheritance in which all inheritable land and property is passed on to the firstborn son. A common worldwide tradition, primogeniture enabled a family's possessions and status to remain intact as they were passed from generation to generation. This practice of the entire inheritances benefiting only the firstborn son resulted in subsequent sons needing to find alternative livelihoods.
Where was the world's first geographic research institute?
In 1418, Prince Henry the Navigator created the institute at Sagres, Portugal, to study navigation, cartography, and advances in shipbuilding. Though Prince Henry was not an explorer himself, he commissioned many explorations that sailed south along the coast of Africa.
Which Middle Eastern country has the highest percentage of urban population?
%90 of Israel's population lives in urban areas, and its density is third only to those of Bahrain and Lebanon, at 702 people per square mile.
What is a watershed?
A watershed is the boundary between drainage basins. It is usually the crest of a mountain where water flows on either side into two different drainage basins.
How many countries are members of the United Nations?
There are 192 member states of the United Nations, which is headquartered in New York City. New members include Serbia and Montenegro, from the former Yugoslavia, Tuvalu, an island nation in the Pacific, Timor-Leste, in what was once part of Indonesia, and Switzerland.
Who was John Wesley Powell?
Though he lost an arm in the Civil War, John Wesley Powell became one of the leading surveyors of the 19th century. In 1869, Powell explored the Grand Canyon. Traveling on a boat along the Colorado River, he faced dangerous rapids, hostile Native Americans, and weather extremes. In 1880, Powell was appointed the second director of the United States Geological Survey.
What is a sundial?
A sundial is an instrument that uses the sun to measure time. A sundial consists of an angled marker, called a gnomon, that casts a shadow on a plate, called a dial plane. On the dial plane there are marks indicating the hours of the day. During the day, as the sun moves across the sky, the shadow from the gnomon moves across the dial plane, indicating the hour. Sundials were used to measure time before clocks and watches were invented.
How many Great Lakes are there?
There are 5 Great Lakes: Huron, Ontario, Michigan, Erie, and Superior. The acronym HOMES can help you to remember the names of the 5 Great Lakes. All of the lakes except Michigan lie on the U.S. Canada border.
Which volcano poses the most risk to people in Europe?
Mt. Vesuvius, on the western coast of Italy, lies very near a city of more than 1 million people, Naples. The volcano is still active, and geologists predict there is a very good chance it will erupt again in the future, potentially wiping out Naples and the surrounding area.
Is the empty quarter empty?
The empty quarter, also known as the Rub al-Khali, is Saudi Arabia's vast, open desert. While the empty quarter is devoid of a large population, it is quite valuable, as it contains the world's largest petroleum reserves.
What is the only Catholic country in Asia?
The Philippines is the only Catholic country in Asia. Approximately 83% of its population is Catholic. Catholicism was firmly implanted in the Philippines when the land was under Spanish rule. From the 16th through 19th centuries.
What are dust devils?
These columns of brown, dust-filled air, which can rise dozens of feet. are not as evil as the name suggests. They are caused by warm air rising on dry, clear days. Winds associated with dust devils can reach up to 60 miles 96.5 kilometers per hour and cause some damage. But they are not as destructive as tornadoes and usually die out pretty quickly.
How did the Himalayas form?
About 30 to 50 million years ago, the land mass of India pressed into the land mass of Asia, pushing upland at the place of impact and creating the Himalayas. Even today, as the Indian subcontinent presses against Asia, the Himalayas continue to grow and change.
What is the highest point in the world?
At 29,035 feet, 8,850 meters, the highest point above sea level in the world is Mt. Everest, which lies on the border of China and Nepal, is Mt.
What type of sand do we often see on beaches near volcanoes?
Because of the content of the sediment near volcanoes comprised of dark black igneous rock. The resulting beach sand in such places as Hawaii and Indonesia is actually a dark brown, even black in color.
How do you drive to the island country of Bahrain?
Bahrain is located 15 miles, 24 kilometers, off the coast of Saudi Arabia and has been connected by a 4-lane causeway bridge to Saudi Arabia since 1986. Saudi Arabia paid for the construction of the causeway.
What is a fault?
A fault is a fracture or a collection of fractures in the Earth's surface where movement has occurred. Most faults are inactive, but some, like California's San Andreas Fault, are quite active. Geologists have not discovered all of the Earth's faults, and sometimes earthquakes occur that take the world by surprise. Like the one in Northridge, California, in 1994. When earthquakes occur on faults that were previously unknown, they are called blind faults.
Who are the Aborigines?
The Aborigines are the indigenous inhabitants of Australia. Having migrated from Southeast Asia approximately 40,000 years ago. In the late 18th century, when European colonization began, there were over 300,000 Aborigines in Australia. Many were killed by European diseases and abuses, and by 1920 there were only 60,000 Aborigines remaining. Like the Maori of New Zealand, Australia's Aborigine population rebounded in the late 20th century, and now stands at over 200,000. Most Aborigines now live in urban areas and are gaining political support and benefits.
What is the Giro d'Italia?
The Giro d'Italia is the second most important multi-stage bicycle race in Europe. It began in 1909, and instead of a yellow jacket for the fastest stage winner, recipients wear a pink-colored jersey reminiscent of the newspaper. Publisher and founder of the race's use of pink newsprint for his newspapers.
How much of the world's population is devoted to agriculture?
In less developed countries, such as Asia and Africa, a majority of the population is engaged in agricultural activity. In the more developed countries of Western Europe and North America, less than 1/10 of the population relies on agriculture for their livelihood.
What is Bollywood?
Known as Bollywood, Mumbai, India, previously called Bombay, is the world's movie capital. The entertainment industry in India produces more than 1,000 films annually, which is much more than the United States.
What are ice ages?
Throughout the life of the planet, the climate has warmed and cooled many times. During the cooling periods, ice ages have occurred. During the ice ages, large sheets of ice cover large portions of land. In the most recent ice age, which ended about 10,000 years ago, large parts of northern Europe and North America were covered by ice sheets.
How does a choke point choke a body of water?
A choke point is a narrow waterway between two larger bodies of water that can be easily closed or blocked to control water transportation routes. Though historically the Strait of Gibraltar, connecting the Mediterranean Sea and Atlantic Ocean between Africa and Spain, has been one of the world's most important choke points. The Strait of Hormuz gained significant attention during the Persian Gulf War of 1991. The Strait of Hormuz, bounded by the United Arab Emirates and Iran, connects the Persian Gulf to the Arabian Sea and, thus, to the Indian Ocean. It was feared that if Iraq controlled the strait, then most of the oil from the region could not be shipped out.
When was the most territory added to the United States at one time?
In 1803, the United States purchased over 800,000 square miles. 2 million square kilometers of land from France for $15 million. This territory, known as the Louisiana Purchase, extended from the Mississippi River to the Rocky Mountains and doubled the size of the United States.
How many potentially hazardous asteroids is NASA tracking that could impact the Earth in the 21st century?
More than 210 FAs are on NASA's list of most likely objects whose orbital paths may bring them close to Earth's orbit sometime in the next 100 to 200 years. Scientists have not fully calculated the risks because they still need to figure out the effects of gravity of various planetary bodies on the exact course of the asteroids.
What is the National Flood Insurance Program?
The National Flood Insurance Program, NFIP, was established by the U.S. federal government in 1956 as a subsidized insurance program for home and business owners. The government began the program by creating flood insurance rate maps, showing the boundaries of 100-year and 500-year flood zones. The cost of the insurance is based on the flood risk. The Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA, oversees the program and requires the purchase of flood insurance by any owner affected by a disaster before they can be provided with disaster assistance. This way, the next time a flood occurs, they will be insured.
Where is the highest lake in the world?
A yet-to-be-named crater lake found atop Ojos del Salado, a volcanic mountain on the border of Argentina and Chile, has an elevation of 20,965 feet, 6,390 meters. Lake Titicaca, a lake sandwiched between Peru and Bolivia, is 12,507 feet, 3,812 meters, above sea level and is the highest navigable lake in the world.
What was the longest year in history?
The year 46 BCE was decreed by the Roman Emperor Julius Caesar to be 445 days long in order to correct the calendar, which was 80 days off, based on the seasons.
What was manifest destiny?
First used by John Lewis O'Sullivan in an 1845 editorial, manifest destiny was the phrase used to describe the assumption that American expansion to the Pacific Ocean was inevitable and ordained by God. The phrase was used to defend the annexations of Texas, California, Alaska, and even Pacific and Caribbean islands.
When were the first clocks made?
Around 3500 B. CE clocks began to appear in a variety of cultures, most notably in Sumeria in what is now the Middle East.
What is a tropical rainforest?
A tropical rainforest is a rainforest that lies between the Tropic of Cancer in the north and the Tropic of Capricorn in the south, i.e. within the tropics. Tropical rainforests are known for their very diverse species of plant and animal life. Tropical rainforests exist throughout Central America, northern Brazil, the Congo River Basin, and Indonesia.
What is a theocracy?
A theocracy is a country ruled by religion. Iran has the world's largest theocracy, ruled by people who are national leaders as well as religious leaders. While there is a secular president, the division of power between mullahs, a Muslim trained in religious law, and the president is poorly defined.
How many African countries were independent in 1950?
In 1950 there were only 4 independent countries on the continent: Egypt, South Africa, Ethiopia, and Liberia. All other countries gained their independence in the decades that followed. Most recently, Eritrea became independent of Ethiopia in 1993.
What is an archipelago?
An archipelago is a chain, or group, of islands that are close to one another. The Aleutian Islands of Alaska and the Hawaiian Islands are both archipelagos. They are usually formed by plates pushing into one another or by volcanic activity.
Where is the Black Forest?
Located in southwestern Germany, the Black Forest is a densely forested, mountainous region that is a popular location for vacationing, with its many health resorts and wilderness trails. The Black Forest is the source of the Danube River and is renowned for its cuckoo clocks.
What is a tree line?
A tree line is the point of elevation at which trees can no longer grow. The tree line is caused by low temperatures and frozen ground, permafrost.
Who was Captain Kidd?
Though Captain William Kidd was hired by the British to fight pirates, he himself soon became a pirate. After he set sail for Africa, an area swarming with pirates. Reports returned to Britain that Kidd himself had captured several ships. Upon learning of a warrant for his arrest, Kidd sailed to Boston to meet a benefactor, who then had Kidd arrested and sent back to Britain. On May 23, 1701, Kidd was hanged for piracy.
Why does the ground sink?
In many places over the world, seemingly solid land lies over vast oil deposits or water aquifers. Without the liquid supporting it, the ground sinks into the space left behind. In some parts of California's Imperial Valley, the land has dropped more than 25 feet. 7.6 meters, due to underground water being removed from the area. Unless the pumping of underground water and oil is stopped, the land will continue to sink.
What is Russia's official name?
The official name of Russia is the Russian Federation. It consists of 83 federal subjects, including 46 provinces, 21 republics, 9 territories, 4 autonomous districts, 1 administrative sector, and 2 federal districts, Moscow and St. Petersburg.
What is the oldest European settlement in Eastern Asia?
In 1557, the Portuguese established the trading colony of Macau on mainland China at the mouth of the Shi, Pearl, River. Macau was a territory of Portugal from 1849 until 1999, when it was returned to China.
Where was the most snowfall ever recorded?
Washington State's Mt. Baker recorded the most snowfall in a single season, 1,140 inches, 2,896 centimeters.
What is the leading cause of death in the United States?
Approximately one-third of all Americans die from cardiovascular disease, making it the country's leading cause of death. Cancers are the second leading cause of death in America, killing over 1/4 of the population.
Where are the four colored seas, black, yellow, red, and white?
The four colored seas are not geographically associated with one another. The Black Sea is located near the Balkan Peninsula and is bordered by Turkey, Russia, and Ukraine. It is also the home of the port city of Odessa. The Red Sea is located to the south of the Black Sea. Between the Arabian Peninsula, Saudi Arabia, and Africa. The Red Sea has been a major trade route for hundreds of years and has been especially useful since the completion of the Suez Canal. The White Sea is in northern Europe. It is part of the Arctic Ocean and is a Russian sea. It lies to the east of Finland. The Yellow Sea is far to the east, between China and the Korean Peninsula.
What is an urban area?
An urban area consists of a central city and its surrounding suburbs. Urban areas are also known as metropolitan areas. In some cases, urban areas can spread dozens of miles beyond the central city.
What is the greenhouse effect?
The greenhouse effect is a natural process of the atmosphere that traps some of the sun's heat near the Earth. The problem with the greenhouse effect, however, is that it has been unnaturally increased, causing more heat to be trapped and the temperature on the planet to rise. The gases that have caused the greenhouse effect were added to the atmosphere as a byproduct of human activities, especially combustion from automobiles.
What is the world's shortest river?
The world's shortest river is Oregon's Dee River, which is a mere 120 feet long, 36.6 meters. It connects Devil's Lake to the Pacific Ocean near Lincoln City, Oregon.
Who speaks Swahili?
While approximately 10 million people speak Swahili as a first language, and another 80 million East Africans speak it as a second language, it is not an indigenous language. Swahili is a mixture of Arabic and African languages that gradually developed through trading between Africans and Arabs. Though there are over 1,000 different languages in Africa, Swahili is the second most popular language, Arabic is the first.
How are hurricanes ranked?
Hurricanes are ranked on a scale of 1 to 5. with Category 1 hurricanes being the weakest and Category 5 being the strongest and most destructive. The damage caused by each category of hurricane ranks from 1. Minimal, 2. Moderate, 3. Extensive, 4. Extreme, such as Hurricane Andrew in 1992, to 5. Catastrophic.
How many provinces are there in South Africa?
In 1994, several new provinces, states, were created. South Africa is now divided into 9 provinces: Eastern Cape, Free State, Gauteng, KwaZulu-Natal, Limpopo, Mpumalanga, Northern Cape, Northwest, and Western Cape. The 9 provinces incorporate homelands of indigenous peoples.
What is the largest church building in the world?
The Mormon Church LDS Conference Center in Salt Lake City, Utah, is the largest church building, having over 1.4 million square feet, 130,000 square meters.
What was the Persian Gulf War?
In late 1990, Iraq attacked Kuwait, claiming that it was Iraq's long-lost 19th province. A coalition of countries, led by the United States, fought against Iraq. The land war lasted a mere 100 hours, the air war began January 17, 1991, and ended. Along with the land war on February 28, and Kuwait was liberated from Iraq in February 1991. Most of Kuwait was destroyed, especially oil facilities, by Iraq's scorched earth policy.
What is the ozone layer?
The ozone layer is part of the stratosphere, a layer of the Earth's atmosphere that lies about 10 to 30 miles. 16 to 48 kilometers, above the surface of the Earth. Ozone is very important to life on the planet because it shields us from most of the damaging ultraviolet radiation from the sun.
Why is color important on a relief map?
A relief map portrays various elevations in different colors. But, a common color scheme found on relief maps causes a problem. On these maps, mountains are displayed as red or brown while lowlands are shown in shades of green. This is confusing because the green areas on the map are often misconstrued as fertile land while brown areas are mistaken for deserts. For example, an area such as California's Death Valley, which is shown in green on relief maps because it lies below sea level, seems fertile, when actually it is an inhospitable desert.
What is the life expectancy in Japan?
Japan's life expectancy is now the third highest in the world, behind Andorra and Macau. People in Japan live, on average, upwards of 83 years.
How many capital cities does South Africa have?
South Africa has 3 capitals. Pretoria is the administrative capital. Bloemfontein is the capital of the judiciary, and Cape Town is the legislative capital.
How much did the population of New Orleans decline after Hurricane Katrina struck?
Although many residents returned in the aftermath of Hurricane Katrina, New Orleans's population has declined by more than 53% since the 2005 disaster.
How many visitors come to the United States every year?
Approximately 51.1 million people visited the United States from abroad. Foreign travel in the United States grows at approximately 4% per year. And sales related to travel in the United States, which is counted as exports, is larger than purchases of American agricultural products and cars combined. Tourists and other visitors contribute $107 billion per year to the U.S. economy.
What does the scale of a map tell me?
A scale indicates the level of detail and defines the distances between objects on a map. On a map, scales can be written as a fraction, a verbal description, or as a bar scale. A fraction, or ratio, using the example of 1/100,000 or 1:100,000, indicates that one unit of any form of measurement on the map is equivalent to 100,000 units of the same measurement in the area being represented. For instance, if you use inches as the unit of measurement, then 1 inch on the map would equal 100,000 inches in the area represented by the map. A verbal description describes the relationship as if it were a verbal instruction, such as 1 inch equals 1 mile. This allows the versatility of having different units of measurement. A bar scale uses a graphic to show the relationship between distance on the map to distance in the area represented. The bar scale is the only type of scale that allows a reduction or enlargement of the map without distorting the scale. This is because when you increase the size of the map, the bar scale is increased proportionally. For a fraction or verbal scale, the proportion, 1:1,000, is only true for the map at that size. For example, when enlarging a map, the map might become twice as large but the numbers in a ratio do not change. as they would need to in order to stay accurate.
What were Lewis and Clark looking for?
President Thomas Jefferson sent Meriwether Lewis and Army officer William Clark to search for a Northwest Passage, a waterway that would connect the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans. Beginning in May 1804 and lasting through September 1806. The two men and their expedition party traveled through the uncharted Louisiana Territory and the Oregon Territory. Though they did not locate a Northwest Passage, Lewis and Clark documented the geography of the West.
What transition took place within Hong Kong in 1997?
The sovereignty of Hong Kong, a former British territory, was transferred to China on July 1, 1997. Following the expiration of a 99-year treaty signed by China and the United Kingdom. The treaty gave the United Kingdom the use of the trading port of Hong Kong, as well as a section of land on mainland China known as the New Territories. Since the treaty for the new territories was due to expire in the late 1990s, the United Kingdom and China entered into negotiations to hand over to China both Hong Kong, covered by an in perpetuity agreement, and the new territories. China agreed to the terms of the negotiation, which granted Hong Kong special administrative rights, limited sovereignty and self-rule, and allowed its economic structure to remain in place until 2047. Hong Kong was and continues to be one of the most developed territories in the world, as well as one of the great banking and financial centers.
What is the Green Revolution?
The Green Revolution began in the 1960s as an effort by international organizations, especially the United Nations, to help increase the agricultural production of less developed nations. Since that time, technology has helped improve crop output, which is reaching all-time highs throughout the world.
What is a boomerang?
The boomerang was developed as a hunting tool by the Aborigines of Australia. There are two types of boomerangs, those that return and those that do not return. The returning boomerang is used to kill small animals. The non-returning boomerang is used to kill large game or enemies.
What is the significance of the San Andreas Fault?
The infamous San Andreas Fault is the border between the North American and the Pacific tectonic plates. This fault lies in California and is responsible for some of the major earthquakes that occur there. Los Angeles is on the Pacific Plate but San Francisco is on the North American Plate. The Pacific Plate is sliding northward with respect to the North American Plate and, as a result, Los Angeles gets about half an inch closer to San Francisco every year. In a few million years, the two cities will be neighbors.
Which states are earthquake-free?
While a 20-year period isn't an excellent indicator, there were 4 states that had no earthquakes between 1975 and 1995, Florida, Iowa, North Dakota, and Wisconsin.
How do airplanes create clouds?
When the air conditions are right and it's sufficiently moist. The exhaust from airplanes often creates condensation trails, known as contrails. Contrails are narrow lines of clouds that usually evaporate rather quickly. Contrails can turn into cirrus clouds if the air is close to being saturated with water vapor.
How much of the Earth's surface is frozen?
About 1/5 of the planet is permafrost, or frozen for all or most of the year.
What are the consequences when glaciers melt?
Glaciers that have melted in the Himalayas, home to the world's largest mountains, have filled up and burst the banks of nearby glacial lakes, filling rivers and causing widespread flooding and death to nearby populations downstream. Similar consequences will likely befall those now living near other glaciers around the world.
Is Equatorial Guinea on the equator?
No, Equatorial Guinea's southernmost point is still 1 degree north of the equator. Though Equatorial Guinea is close to the equator, its southern neighbor, Gabon, is truly equatorial.
Has NAFTA helped trade between Canada, Mexico, and the United States?
Yes, from 1993 to 2007 trade between the NAFTA countries more than tripled, rising from $290 billion to $930 billion.
Where is the French Riviera?
The French Riviera, also known as Côte d'Azur, is located in southeastern France, near the border with Italy, along the Mediterranean Sea. The French Riviera is a major vacation spot for Europeans. with its mild Mediterranean climate and beautiful scenery. The tiny country of Monaco is located within the French Riviera, and adds to the Riviera's image of luxury with the multitude of casinos and hotels at Monte Carlo.
What catastrophe happened in North Korea in 1995?
Because of their isolation from former trading partners in the Soviet Union, coupled with poor relations with neighboring China. Failed economic policies that drove up the price of food, excessive military expenditures, and severe floods, the production of grain in North Korea fell below what was needed to sustain the population in 1995. This triggered food shortages and caused the deaths of between 1 and 3 million people. It is not clear how many people died during the 3-year famine, because the government does not report these types of figures. The United States gave approximately $600 million to North Korea to help prevent mass starvation. The largest donor country in the world, America contributed more than 50% of the total aid given to North Korea to help stop the famine.
How many active volcanoes are there in the world?
There are about 1,500 active volcanoes around the world. Most are located in the Ring of Fire surrounding the Pacific Ocean. About 1/10 of the world's active volcanoes are located in the United States. A volcano is considered active if it has erupted in the last 10,000 years.
What fish, once thought to be extinct, suddenly appeared near Comoros?
In December 1938, a fisherman discovered a very strange-looking fish near the Comoros Islands. Scientists discovered that this lobe-finned fish was a coelacanth, thought to have been extinct for over 70 million years. This species continues to live in the waters off of the Comoros Islands, located between Madagascar and continental Africa.
What are the fastest growing U.S. cities in terms of population growth from 2000 to 2006?
From 2000 to 2006, the fastest growing U.S. cities have been McKinney, Texas, 97.3%, Gilbert, Arizona, 73.9%, and North Las Vegas, Nevada, 71.1%.
Why don't we feel the earth moving?
Even though we constantly move at a high rate of speed, we don't feel it. Just as we don't feel the speed at which we're flying in an airplane or driving in a car. It's only when there is a sudden change in speed that we notice. And if the Earth made such a change, we would certainly feel it.
What was Pangea?
Pangea, which existed about 250 million years ago, was one huge continent, including the land of all 7 continents. It was located near present-day Antarctica and has slowly drifted and split to form the continents as we know them today. The continents and their tectonic plates continue to move and will one day be in a much different arrangement than they are today.
What is in the Taj Mahal?
Located in Agra, India, the Taj Mahal is a mausoleum for the wife of the Mughal Emperor Shah Jahan. After Arjuman Banu Bagam's death in 1631, her husband began construction of the mausoleum in 1632. Over 300 feet, 91.4 meters, tall. The white marble mausoleum is a grandiose and striking memorial to her life and death.
How many refugees are there?
There are approximately 8.3 million people who are classified as refugees, living somewhere outside of their home countries, because of deplorable conditions at home, warfare, or government and societal discrimination and economic oppression.